webinar on indirect taxes on GST. Friends, this is the last webinar of Indirect Tax Committee of All Gujarat Federation of Tax Consultants for this activity year. Friends, in this year, under the chairmanship of Advocate Bharat L. Seth, we have conducted various webinars and various Mafuze programs on GST. And because of his extreme efforts, we have been successful to do around 10 representations to Honorable Finance Minister. So friends, in this year, Indirect Tax Committee of AGFTC has remained active for the members to disseminate the knowledge to them and also represent to government authorities for the grievances of tax professionals. Friends, today's topic is very interesting and very needed topic, that is GST scrutiny. Now all the GST assessment has been started, and we have none other than Honorable Faculty Abhishek Rajaram with us. He is a national speaker and he is expert on GST as far as the nation is concerned. And we respect that he has given the time and he has come on the platform of in ITBA for the first time. Friends, on this juncture, I request Chairman of Indirect Tax Committee, Advocate Bharat L. Seth, for his opening remarks.
Thank you, Karthik bhai. I'm audible? Okay.
Yes, sir.
President of All Gujarat Federation of Tax Consultants and my dear friend Karthik bhai, President of IT Bar Association and Secretary of AGFT Dhruvin bhai, Sridhar bhai, Anil bhai Shah, Dipesh bhai, Avinash bhai, and all office bearers and President Secretary of all Mafusil Association who joined this webinar. Friends, as we all know that when AGFTSC has been formed, the main object was to represent regarding direct taxes. But when GST has been implemented in July 2017, AGFT has taken keen interest to organize webinar, seminar on GST, and representation has been made by AGFTC regarding GST issue. I am thankful to President Karthik bhai for giving me an opportunity to act as a chairman of Indirect Tax Committee. Indirect Tax Committee has done various representation and webinar on crucial issue. But today's issue is a very crucial. GST scrutiny has been started, and in some cases we have seen that so many orders has been passed by the authority. And when we show that order, very much mistakes has been done in the earlier period of GST. So we can see that mistake can be avoided if the returns has been filed properly or GST has been implemented properly. But whatever has been done, the GST scrutiny is become a headache to all dealers as well as tax professionals. GST के लेक्चर में मैं हमेशा मेरे लेक्चर में एक बात कहता था, मैं यहाँ रिपीट करना चाहूँ कि हमारे एक दोस्त शादीशुदा थे, उनकी वाइफ के साथ झगड़े हुआ करते थे और सभी आर्गुमेंट के बाद में उनकी वाइफ जीएसटी बोलकर चली जाती थी। बहुत बार ऐसा हुआ, वो हमारे दोस्त मुश्किल में पड़ गए कि ये जीएसटी क्या है। उन्होंने जीएसटी कंसल्टेंट से भी पूछा कि ये जीएसटी है क्या, लेकिन हमने तो कहा नहीं, जीएसटी तो भाई गुड्स एंड सर्विस टैक्स है या तो गुड्स एंड सिंपल टैक्स है। फिर उसने अपनी वाइफ को बिठा के पूछा कि भाई ये जीएसटी कह के तुम चली जाती हो, जीएसटी है क्या? तो उनकी वाइफ ने बताया कि गलती सब तुम्हारी। तो जब ये जीएसटी स्क्रूटिनी आ रही है तो डीलर बोलते हैं गलती सब तुम्हारी, टैक्स प्रोफेशनल की। हम कहते हैं गलती सब अकाउंटेंट की, क्योंकि उसने पूरा डेटा नहीं दिया। या तो गलती सब कुछ भी है जीएसटीएन नेटवर्क की, लेकिन जो सफर कर रहा है वो टैक्स पेयर है। और इसीलिए ये टैक्स नेटवर्क का ग्लिचेस हो या टैक्स प्रोफेशनल्स का फॉल्ट हो या अकाउंटेंट का फॉल्ट हो, क्योंकि जीएसटी एक ऐसा यूनिक टैक्सेशन सिस्टम है जिसमें कंसल्टेंट से ज्यादा और लोग हैं जो जीएसटी के बारे में ज्यादा जानते हैं। व्हाट्सएप यूनिवर्सिटी से हमें बहुत कुछ सिखाया जाता है, बताया जाता है, इसमें कितना सच है कितना झूठ है, जो जीएसटी को समझता है वही जान सकता है, लेकिन रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन ऐसा नहीं जानता। और इसके लिए जब शुरू के पीरियड में रिटर्न्स हैज बीन फाइल्ड बाय ऑफिस स्टाफ ऑफ द कंसल्टेंट और अकाउंटेंट और dealer himself, so many mistakes has been done. GSTR 1 has been filed wrongly, or GSTR 3B filed in a wrong column, and so many problems has been created. Just 2 days ago, one audit assessment has been audit assessment order has been come to my table. 3 crores liability has been created because you have not done RCM, or you have not done reversal on tax-free items, etc., etc. Return has been filed by dealer himself, so we can do nothing, and the points are such that we cannot fight in appeal also. So the today's subject is a very much interested, and I am thankful to today's learned speaker Abhishek ji for giving his valuable time to the tax professional of SGFTC and ITB and other Mofussil area. SGFTC heartily welcomes you and thank you. And thank you, Karthikeya bhai, for giving me an opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, respected sir, for enlightening words in your opening remarks and your support throughout the year. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now I request President of Income Tax Bar Association, Sri Dhruvin Mehta, for his brief speech.
Thank you, Karthikeya bhai. Good evening to all. First of all, I welcome all the participants and members of all the association, and especially Chairman of Indirect Tax Committee of AGFTC, Sri Bharat L. Shetharji, and our today's expert speaker, Sri Abhishek Rajaramji. Today's webinar is on burning and interesting topic, GST scrutiny. Provision for scrutiny of GST returns are specified under Section 61 of CGST Act and Rule 99 of CGST rules. But we can see there is no online module for these. So the CBIC has issued a SOP for ensuring uniformity of the scrutiny. Our today's speaker is expert in these and will brief us about the SOP and what documents need to be prepared, how reply should be filed, etc. Sir, we are eagerly waiting to hear more. Sir, we heartily welcome you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dhruvin bhai. Friends, we have amongst us another national speaker, Dr. CA Advocate Avinash Poddar sir. We welcome you, sir. He is a national speaker, and thank you so much for your valuable time. I request Avinash sir to please introduce today's honorable faculty.
Thank you, Karthikeya bhai. First and foremost, I would like to tender my apology that I am not in the right attire, because I was not willing to lose on this opportunity when this opportunity was offered to me today in the morning. Actually, I'm in hospital. My father is admitted because of that since last couple of weeks. Now, I don't think that this person, this learned human being known as or called as Abhishek Rajaram, needs any introduction. But nevertheless, being a protocol, I am entrusted this responsibility of introducing him. So therefore, I'll be formally doing it. He's a fellow member of Chartered Accountant Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, holding a master degree in commerce. This is about the economic background, but then comes the contribution which he has given to the profession. Around 12 books he has written. We all have read his books: Advanced Rulings, Litigations, a recent book on show cause notices and all. The topics which he suggests and he selects for his book writing is actually the topic which is most required at that point in time. So therefore, many congratulations to him. And at the same time, this is a indeed proud moment for me and an opportunity to introduce such wonderful personality. Not only this, he's a speaker we all are aware of. He's a columnist, economist, because on a lot of subjects he speaks at various forums, not only before the professional gatherings, but also before the general public when he shares his views on various news channels and the television channels, including All India Radio and all. He has contributed not only in GST, But in 2014 onwards, he's been regularly contributing. In 2012, he was NIRC VAT research. He was convener into that study group. Then company law research study group also, he was a member in 2014. Currently, he is a special invitee of our national committee, which is GST and indirect tax committee. And I know I had been in that committee for almost 6 years. So I know that how valuable that committee is and what contribution Abhishek Rajaram can make. I can keep on sharing his experiences and the accolades which he has. Lately, very recently, he has been rather awarded a special jury award under the category of fiscal journalist and columnist by TIAL, that is Tax India Online. And a lot of such achievements are there. The time will be less. And as Karthik Bhai has said that I am also a small speaker. At times I take this liberty to speak. So I'll keep on speaking about him. So, but I'll not come in way of the participants and the speaker. So with this brief introduction, once again, I'm thankful to all the organizers for giving me this opportunity to introduce him, and at the same time for organizing such a wonderful program for the participants, wherein a multifaceted talented speaker is invited. Over to you, organizer. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and over to you.
Thank you so much, respected sir, and we all wish that respected sir will get well very soon. And thank you so much. In these difficult times, you have spared a time for this webinar, sir. We respect. Now, I request today's honorable faculty to please take up the stage of this webinar, sir.
Everyone, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. And thank you, Avinash sir. और शायद कम ही लोगों को पता हो, मैं फिर से रिपीट कर देता हूँ. मैंने जीएसटी में लिटिगेशन पहली बार जो समझा था वो सर की बुक से ही समझा था. तो अविनाश सर इज माई से वो कहते हैं ना कि गोल लास्ट एंड गोल. तो अविनाश सर इज लाइक दैट कि मैं इनके जैसा बनना चाहता हूँ, और सर से मैं हमेशा ही इंस्पिरेशन ड्रॉ करता हूँ. एंड मतलब आपने गन बना दिया कि अविनाश सर से इंट्रोडक्शन करा दिया. इससे ज्यादा और बड़ी बात क्या सम्मान की हो सकती है. आपका आइडल आपके बारे में बोले. थैंक यू सर, ये आपका कमिटमेंट है कि आपने हॉस्पिटल से भी समय दिया प्रोफेशन को. एंड थैंक यू. जैसे फॉर अवर व्हेन वी गॉट एन इंट्रोडक्शन, सो our chairman sir has said that or president sir has said that they have got notice of 3 crore. The returns were filed by the taxpayer himself or his accounting staff, and there were discussions of multiple GST. So why categorize GST in 4 types? मेरे हिसाब से जीएसटी 4 तरह का चलता है. फर्स्ट इज वॉट एवर रिटर्न इन इज लॉ बुक, जो लॉ बुक में लिखा है. सेकेंड जीएसटी इज एज पर द पोर्टल, सो इट वेरीज फ्रॉम समथिंग. थर्ड जीएसटी इज एज पर द डिपार्टमेंटल अंडरस्टैंडिंग, द ऑफिसर व्हाट ही अंडरस्टैंड कि दिस इज द जीएसटी. And fourth GST is very important, जिसमें सारी रिटर्न भरी जाती है. That is what is client understanding. Client क्या समझता है? For example, let's come to an example, and I take it on myself कि मैंने ये गलतियां करी हैं. Some of you might associate with those mistakes कि आपने या आपके जानकारों ने वो गलती करी, बट आई विल टेल कि मैंने क्या गलतियां करी. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, while I was conducting an audit of 2017-18, GST audit था. I was doing an audit and I filed I summarized a annual return. While filing, I told the client कि boss, you have missed this X invoice. X invoice आपसे मिस हो गया है. Neither you reported in GSTR1 nor you reported in 3. But it was an invoice. And you have to pay liability on this. मैंने उसे कहा फॉर एग्जाम्पल कि भैया इसकी 10 लाख रुपीस की लाइबिलिटी बनती है, प्लीज पे इट. द क्लाइंट केम विद अनदर सेट ऑफ वर्किंग पेपर एंड सेड सर यू आर राइट, आई मिस दिस इनवॉइस, 10 लाख रुपीस मुझे पे करने थे, बट दिस इज द परचेज और सप्लाई विच आई हैव रिसीव्ड फॉर सप्लाइंग दिस इनवॉइस, और यहां पे 8 लाख का क्रेडिट है. So I am required to pay only rupees 2 lakh. I tried to explain him that nahi, whatever you are saying is correct. Your liability is 10 lakh. You will not be allowed to claim this 8 lakh rupees of credit because that is blocked under section 16 subsection 4. इसका क्रेडिट नहीं मिलेगा. But the client said कि सर अभी तो मेरे फाइनेंशियल क्राइसिस में हूँ, because whenever I speaks about making payment, the client always say कि भाई मेरे को फाइनेंशियल क्राइसिस, जिस दिन भी टैक्स पे करना होता है उस दिन उसके पास फाइनेंशियल क्राइसिस होता है. एंड ही सेड कि सर मैं 2 लाख रुपए विद इंटरेस्ट पे कर देता हूँ, बिकॉज लॉजिकली, बिकॉज इफ यू आर टैक्सिंग माई आउटपुट सप्लाईज, आई एम अलाउड टू टेक क्रेडिट ऑफ दिस 8 लाख. सर सेक्शन 16 सबसेक्शन 4 में क्या लिखा है उसे नहीं समझ में आया. मेरे को भी थोड़ा सा लालच था रिटर्न ना चली जाए, और फिर मैं कौन सा कर रहा था, टैक्स तो उसमें GSTR 9 में फाइल करना था. फॉर एग्जाम्पल 2 मिनट के लिए मान लीजिए 9C था ही नहीं उसका. नाउ ही पेड 2 लाख रुपीज विद इंटरेस्ट, और मैंने उसे कहा सर डिपार्टमेंट से नोटिस आएगा 10 लाख रुपीज पे करने. And what the client said, जब आएगा तब देखा जाएगा. तो आज वो 8 लाख रुपए के लिए नोटिस आ गया, and that notice is called scrutiny notice. Now we will start with this opening remarks. Now we have the time where we have to justify what returns we have filed. The problem is, जैसे सर ने कहा कि रिटर्न सारी हमने फाइल नहीं कर रखी. Some returns have been filed by the accountants. Some returns have been filed by the taxpayer himself. और शायद उसकी छोड़ दो, whatever returns I have filed थे, mainly whatever returns I have filed in July to September. मैं मान लेता हूं कि 3 महीने GST समझने में मुझे भी दिक्कत आ रही थी. मुझे तो आज भी आती है सर, कई चीजों में नहीं समझ में आता. स्टूडेंट ही तो है जीएसटी में, रोज नया जीएसटी हो जाता है. ये 1000 अमेंडमेंट के बाद कौन कह सकता है एक्सपर्ट है. आपने तो मेरे नाम के सामने एमिनेंट स्पीकर लिख दिया, मेरा बस चलता मैं तो लिखता स्टूडेंट इन जीएसटी. रोज नया लॉ है सर. सो जुलाई टू सितंबर की रिटर्न जो गई है उसमें मैंने क्या भेजा मुझे खुद ही नहीं पता. जस्टिफिकेशन कहां से करूं. फॉर एग्जाम्पल एक नॉर्मल गलती हुई है हमसे, हो सकता है आपसे नहीं हुई है, मैं मानता हूं जी मेरे से तो ये गलती हुई है. अब मुझे जुलाई की रिटर्न भेजते हुए डिफरेंस समझ में नहीं आ रहा था, ये नील और एग्जेम्प्ट अलग अलग होती हैं. मैंने जितनी नील रिटर्न्स थी, अब नील रिटर्न्स कौन सी थी, विच एवर वर एक्सपोर्ट, विच एवर आई सप्लाइड टू HCZ, क्योंकि जिसपे मुझे ITC क्रेडिट मिलना है दैट वुड बी नील रिटर्न्स. मैंने वो सारी की सारी what I have shown it as exempt. Now when I have shown those all exempts, now some of the portion has to be reverse of the ITC, but I have not reversed them. Why? Because they were not exempt, they were nil rated. And with my that day understanding, I have shown that as exempt. But the question is whether we are allowed to revise our return. सर रिटर्न रिवाइज की तो बात छोड़ दो, जुलाई 17 से सितंबर 17 3 महीने तो मोटा मोटा ऐसे गए होंगे सबके कि जहां रिटर्न फाइल करना एक अचीवमेंट था, the MD of the company used to wait कि सर रिटर्न फाइल हो गई क्या. So in those days, whatever we have filed, we might not be able to justify it today. We might not be able to justify it today. So let's understand, with this background, the question is whether we are ready for scrutiny, to face the scrutiny. The scrutiny is nothing. Scrutiny is nothing. Scrutiny is very simple thing. Scrutiny is department wants to ensure whatever returns you have filed are correct. They don't have any discrepancy. If they have any discrepancy, then they will communicate it to you. And how they are going to ensure that there is no correctness issue? They would check with other things. For example, they will cross-check your returns with e-way bill, TDS returns, TCS returns, and 2A. So TDS and TCS return and e-way bill were not for 2017-18. We have only for 18-19. Now, 2A was not visible in July 2017. This was first visible in October 2018. And it was made mandatory by Rule 36 Sub-Rule 4 from October 2019, where we saw that where the first time we were allowed to take credit of 120%. So this was the thing. And now we have to, some of the officers are laying emphasis on verifying your ITC claims with GSTR 2A. Now the issue is whether we had GSTR 2A that day or not. If we didn't have, then what has to be done? And in some cases, we had seen that some of the vendors have not made payment to the government. किसी ने पेमेंट नहीं कर रखा, GSTR 11 फाइल करता जा रहा है डिपार्टमेंट को. There are cases where there are retrospective cancellation of GST registrations. जब retrospectively cancel हो गया तो क्या क्रेडिट देना है, नहीं देना. So in those, considering these all challenges, let's understand what is this. So जो हमारे I think income tax के president थे and honorable secretary of GFT. Now he said कि we have got circular from or instructions from central government. No, that's not true. We have got instructions and circulars from various states. But if we understand by the date wise, so first circular was issued by Tamil Nadu. That is 1.5 page circular on 29th October. And it has mentioned only one section, section 61 and rule 99, which you also repeated. Iske baad Kerala state came with the circular. This is of, or say, instructions or guideline. These are all of 4 pages. Then Maharashtra internal circular, scrutiny tech issues, with the name of scrutiny tech issues. This is of around 7 pages. Then we have CBIC instructions, and this is actually standard operating procedure, which speaks about everything. What kind of registers have to be maintained at the department and what kind of reports they would be giving to the department. That is mentioned there. And then we have Haryana State GST Scrutiny Manual, which is of 78 pages. Now, what is the difference in these all? So, central government instructions are applicable on all assessees registered with central government. Now, these state-wise circulars are applicable only to the assessees or taxpayers registered with the state department. Now, let's understand this diagrammatic method, how the flow of the document would be, or how the information would flow in case of central government. So first, DGRM with user software and pick up certain cases. ये जो cases pick करे जाएंगे, they would be where they feel that it is a time where recovery has to be made from them. यहाँ से recovery की बात करेंगे. And then whatever list they will prepare, they will send it to the nodal officer. Nodal officer will communicate this list or bifurcate and send this list to the respective superintendent. Now, superintendent could accept these cases, and it may prioritize those cases जिसमें recovery पहले बनने के चांस है, ज्यादा बनने के चांस है, जहां पर उसको लगता है ज्यादा टैक्स चोरी हो चुका है. They would send a recovery notice to them first. Otherwise, now whatever they will get a list, so they will superintendent with the permission of ACDC will do some homework. With their permission, they would send this A70 10 scrutiny notice to the client. Now, if superintendent feel कि इसकी कोई the views are incorrect, he might not do any scrutiny till he send A70 10. यहाँ तक उसे taxpayer से कोई communication नहीं करना. He has to do some homework, and as far as possible, he will send you with the computation that we think that this is your mistake. We have found this discrepancy in your GST returns, and this is the amount to be recovered to be made to you, and they would send it. Then there are reporting mechanism where ACDC would be reporting to Director General GST, and then they would be reporting to the FinMin. But this is, we are talking about central government. Now, ideally, they would give you 30 days notice. A70 10 में 30 days का notice देंगे for you to reply to that notice. Now, a person, there could be 3-4 outcomes of this notice. First is, you have got a notice for recovery of 100 rupees from the department. So your client might accept 100 rupees. गलती से छूट गया था. And you accept that 100 rupees and say, okay, I agree. You have sent me a notice of 100 rupees. I agree. And I'm going to pay it. You pay 100 rupees along with interest, and the scrutiny is over. Scrutiny is complete. Second, you received a notice for 100 rupees. You say, I agree to 40 rupees. I disagree to 60 rupees. And you submit a reply in A70 11. You pay 40 rupees, whatever you are accepting. And for 60 rupees, you are saying, no, I don't accept this. Now, if department accepts this, then they will drop the proceeding. They will say, okay, we have sent a notice. We have received a reply for 40. We have received payment for 40 rupees and 60 rupees, whatever logics or whatever information they are providing, it is or explanation they are providing. We accept their replies, and now they will issue a A70 12. Now, what could be the cases? कैसे recovery हो सकती है? Now, for example, you are in Gujarat. And one of your client is having one property in say Udaipur, Rajasthan. That is another state. So someone is having a property in Udaipur, and he had given that on rental in Udaipur. और उदयपुर की जो प्रॉपर्टी थी उस पर जो कॉमर्शियली जो टैक्स पड़ा है एंड वो आपने राजस्थान में पे कर रखा है. So what details you would be annexing with the reply? You might be annexing GST, GSTR 3B, GSTR 1 of returns filed from Rajasthan. और ऐसे ही आपने डिटेल दे दी कि 40 रुपीज का ये टैक्स बनता था फॉर गुजरात, which I am accepting, and 60 rupees was the payment for Rajasthan, which we have paid in Rajasthan. That's it. Third category. You have received a notice for 100 rupees. You say your notice is not valid. We don't agree with your 100 rupees demand. Because वो जो 100 rupees की डिमांड है वो सारी फॉर एग्जाम्पल उदयपुर की प्रॉपर्टी के लिए, दैट इज फॉर उदयपुर प्रॉपर्टी. पूरे 100 रुपीज आपको उदयपुर की प्रॉपर्टी में आपने दिखा रखे और आपने कह रखा है कि हमने वहां पर टैक्स भी पे कर. देन व्हाट डिपार्टमेंट विल से, आई एक्सेप्ट एंड आई विल ड्रॉप दिस प्रोसीडिंग. ठीक है. सो अच्छा, एक चीज और, एक मैं थोड़ा प्रैक्टिकल बात कर लेता हूँ. देखिए, अगर आप लोगों के ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता तो प्लीज मुझे सॉरी. मेरे यहाँ कई बार ऐसा ही होता है. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, मैं अपने ऑफिस में बैठा हूँ, एक क्लाइंट ने मुझे कॉल करा, सर, अब आपके एग्जाम्पल में ही फ्रेम हो जाता हूँ कि मैं गुजरात में, मेरा ऑफिस है अहमदाबाद में, मैं बैठा हूँ, somebody, some of the clients call me, रेगुलर क्लाइंट है, बहुत बड़ा क्लाइंट भी नहीं है. उसने कहा, सर ऐसा है जी, वो सर आपसे पता करना था, वो आपको याद है मेरी उदयपुर में कोठी थी? हाँ थोड़ा थोड़ा याद आ रहा है, बताओ क्या हुआ उसका, बेच रहे हो? नहीं, नो सर, उसको ना मैं किराए पे दे रहा हूँ, कोठी में किराए पर दे रहा हूँ, उदयपुर वाली कोठी को. इस पे कोई जीएसटी तो नहीं आएगा? भाई नेचुरल, मुझे पता है कि इस तरह की क्वेरीज के कोई मुझे पैसे तो देता नहीं है. तो मैंने भी हाँ ना में सुनी, कोठी सुनी. आई थॉट इट्स अ रेजिडेंशियल प्रॉपर्टी. व्हाट आई कंस्ट्रूड इज इट्स अ रेजिडेंशियल प्रॉपर्टी. और मैंने भी उसे कह दिया, सर हाँ इस पे कोठी है ना? हाँ कोठी है, किराए पर दे रहा हूँ, नहीं लगेगा. At end of the year, when he came for income tax return filing in June, July month, now when I checked this 26 years, I found it कि बॉस इस प्रॉपर्टी पे तो टीडीएस कटा हुआ है. Then I asked him कि ये कौन सा टीडीएस कट गया? He said, वो आपको बताया था ना उदयपुर वाली प्रॉपर्टी, जो उसका टीडीएस है. बट उसने इस पे टीडीएस क्यों काटा? तो ये मैंने XYZ कंपनी को दी है, उन्होंने इसमें वेयर हाउस खोल रखा है. बोले वेयर हाउस खोल रखा है, डिड यू टोल्ड मी कि वेयर हाउस खोल रखा है? बोले जी सब तो आपसे बात करके ही काम करा है, आपने तो कहा था जीएसटी नहीं लगेगा. बोले मैंने कहा था कोठी किराए पर दे रहे हो. बोले जी मैं भी तो ये कह रहा हूँ, कोठी मैंने किराए पर दी है, लेकिन इसमें ये कहाँ बताया था कि मैंने किसी कंपनी को वेयर हाउस के लिए दी है. आई हैव लेट आउट दिस प्रॉपर्टी फॉर अ कमर्शियल पर्पस. What I understood was that this is for residential purpose. And here comes the problem. But there could be a case where you might miss something. So this could be a case when the department will pick items. They would be cross-checking, they would be having your income tax return, whether you submit with them or not. So before sending you notice for the scrutiny, they would be having income tax returns, whatever you have filed, and they would be cross-checking your GST returns, your inputs, incomes from this item. They could also say that your income from other sources is 20 lakh rupees. Now, please, just in their notice, they might say that this is 20 lakh rupees which has escaped income from assessment. Sorry, this is 20 lakh rupees which has been assessed income but has not shown in GST. We are adding 20 lakh rupees and 18% on this. That later on you might explain them कि भैया ये 20 लाख जो है ये एफडी का पैसा आया हुआ है और सेविंग अकाउंट में पड़ा रह गया था पैसा, उसका इंटरेस्ट है, and which has no link with direct link with the business. So we might receive communication like this also. Now, generally, ASMT 10 should provide you a notice of clear 30 days. Clear 30 days to answer this. Answer your ASMT level. But practically, they are not giving you 30 days notice. They are giving you 14 days or 21 days notice. So a notice for shorter period doesn't make your scrutiny void ab initio. You should not go and challenge the notice. Rather, if you feel you are not comfortable with 14 days notice, you should request for time extension. देखिए 30 डेज का नोटिस देना था, 30 डेज का नोटिस नहीं दिया, इसको आप कोर्ट में जाकर चैलेंज मत करने बैठ जाना. आपको लगता है कम समय मिला है, यू शुड रिक्वेस्ट हिम कि भाई मेरे को एक्स्ट्रा टाइम दे. आप समझ में आ रही है? इट इज नॉट कि हम जाकर उसको चैलेंज कर दें कि भाई 30 डेज लॉ में लिखा था 30 डेज का नोटिस देना था, इन्होंने मुझे 14 डेज का नोटिस दिया, दैट्स व्हाई जीएसटी स्क्रूटनी नोटिस ऑन द लिमिटेशंस टाइम बार दिस एंड दिस. नो, ये मत करना. You ask for the notice time period, and of course you can have 3 adjournments also, as per the general provisions. And when you submit your reply in ASMT 11, they would be issuing ASMT 12. ASMT 12. Logically, legally they should issue ASMT 12 within 30 days of submission of your reply. There could be one more dimension to this, that your taxpayer has received a notice of ASMT 10, उससे मिस हो गया या वो देख ही नहीं पाया. Ideally, what he would law is like that कि अगर आपको ASMT 10 का रिप्लाई 30 डेज में नहीं मिला, तो नेक्स्ट 15 डेज में डिपार्टमेंट कैन डू बेस्ट जजमेंट असेसमेंट अगेंस्ट द असेसर. Now, what is the difference when we read all of the scrutinies? अगर आप बाकी सबके स्क्रूटनी के इंस्ट्रक्शंस पढ़ेंगे तो उन सब में एक नॉर्मल चीज लिखी हुई है कि अगर नहीं दिया, नोटिस का रिप्लाई नहीं दिया, तो 15 दिन के अंदर अंदर आप बेस्ट जजमेंट असेसमेंट ऑर्डर पास कर दीजिए. बट देयर इज अ डिफरेंस व्हेन वी गो टू द स्क्रूटनी मैनुअल ऑफ हरियाणा. हरियाणा के स्क्रूटनी मैनुअल में अगर आप डिटेल में अंदर जाएंगे तो उसमें अलग से उन्होंने दे रखा है कि जब आप assessee or a taxpayer has not replied within 30 days, then they can send a reminder to them. तो हरियाणा स्क्रूटनी मैनुअल में एक फर्क ये है सारे इंडिया के स्क्रूटनी मैनुअल से कि अगर 30 डेज में आप रिप्लाई नहीं करते, then हरियाणा स्क्रूटनी मैनुअल टॉक्स अबाउट सेंडिंग रिमाइंडर टू द असेसी आल्सो. विज़ ऐसा कोई रिमाइंडर देने का कोई प्रोविजन और कहीं नहीं है. 5.5. ओके, तो ये डिफरेंस है हरियाणा में और बाकी सारे जगह के स्क्रूटनी मैनुअल. Now this what I feel that most of the participant of this session would be from western part of India and most likely from Gujarat. So Gujarat, we don't have any scrutiny instructions or manual issued by Gujarat state. So generally whatever would be discussed would be followed would be the practices which are based on central government mechanism, scrutiny mechanism. So what could be the end of the scrutiny notice? ASMT 12. So ASMT 12 could be once you submit a reply कि भैया आपने 100 rupees का notice मिला, you paid 100 rupees, accepted, over. You have received a notice of 100 rupees, you paid 40 rupees, you contested 60 rupees, they accepted your reasons and 60 rupees over. They have given you a notice of 100 rupees, you have not accepted 100 rupees because that has been paid on that GST has been paid in Rajasthan. आपने 100 rupees पूरे drop करवा. Fourth case, you have got 100 rupees notice, you didn't reply, department files BGA. There could be one more thing. Department has given you scrutiny notice. You had submitted a reply. Department doesn't agree with your reply. Doesn't agree with your reply. Now department will move from here (73 or 74). 73 would be for general cases, genuine cases, where income has escaped assessment. In these cases, बाकी वहां पर तो बहुत सारी चीजें लिखी हुई हैं, short paid, short levied, erroneously refunded. But that would be for the genuine cases where there is no mala fide intention or pollution. If department feels that something has been done from your end, if you have concealed some facts, or there was a mala fide intention from your end, then they will move to 74. Whenever officer will move to 73 or 74, the scrutiny notice would be of zero demand. The scrutiny notice will be of zero demand. Now, this is as per the Kerala state guideline, where it has been mentioned that whenever you are issuing a zero demand order, what would happen when you want to move to 73, 74, then would be zero demand. Another thing, the department considered your accounts is very complicated, or a bookkeeping mechanism very complicated. So then, or anything that he will not be able to do justice by moving to or invoking 73, 74. Then what department could do? Department, the superintendent will recommend. Superintendent will recommend investigation, audit, search from your on inspection, and audits. Then he would recommend it to with the permission of AC DC, and this would be moved to the commissioner, and commissioner, in normal cases, commissioner will give a green signal, and then your audit would be conducted. तो अगर जीरो डिमांड ऑर्डर आ गया, सीधा सीधा खुश मत होना. प्लीज रीड अदर पैराग्राफ की जीरो डिमांड का ऑर्डर है, then what department is going to do, whether they want to open this case in 73, 74, or they want to go for audits or inspection for. And trust me, friends, whenever superintendent will recommend it, commissioner will not challenge this thing, because see, a government officer is saying, your assessing officer is saying that I am unable to do this, and that's why audit should be conducted on this. The basic difference between state manual and this is that in state manual, DGRM will send details to nodal officer. Nodal officer will then send to superintendent. Whereas in state modules, the intelligence wing will send details to sale tax officers or sale tax and excise officer, whatever name is in your state, and ECDC would be not DC. Assistant commissioners might also have the higher amount cases as per your state powers. So that might vary state to state. And then these are central government ke manual mein we have a detail what kind of registers commissioner has to maintain, who is to maintain, when they will give detail. So this is not relevant for us. Now let's understand two types of softwares. There are two types of softwares on which software will recommend audits to you. Just understand the basic of these softwares. First is ADVAT. DGRM would be the one. This is with the central one, Advanced Analytics. And what does this software do? Now this software comes with predictive modeling. This software comes with predictive modeling. The predictive modeling says that they would be predicting that these are the sectors which are evasion prone, or these are the clients which are evasion prone. And that's why you should have emphasis and focus on these sectors. Now the software helps in formulation of policy, data-driven tax policies. Data-driven tax policies. Now, can you share me one example of data-driven tax policy? in chat messenger, any one of you. इस सॉफ्टवेयर ने कौन सी डेटा ड्रिवन टेक्स्ट पॉलिसी बनाई है? Anyone? We have almost 100 people. Exactly. Jashuk bhai. Perfect. Two-way. Whatever ITC you are claiming today is data-driven text policy. Whenever you would be, yes, Ashish ji also, thank you. 2A, 2B, your ITC is linked with the data. And this is a challenge. And changing scenario also. देखिए, gone are the days जब हम ABCD पढ़ते थे, A for apple, B for ball, C for cat, D for dog. Gone are the days. Now in today's scenario, A is for artificial intelligence, B for blockchain, C for cryptos, D for data intelligence. D for data, most likely data. And then we have these kind of policies. ये आप छोड़ दीजिए, you read in PPT, आराम से पढ़ लेना what these are. Now, this is linking everything. This tool is linking everything with your ITR, with the cost audit report from MCA. It is also picking up tax audit report from income tax and linking everything. So they are checking your data from each and every angle. But this is not 360-degree profiling. Now, whenever you देखिए तो एक रोज का काम हो गया, you usually get a detail some this kind of report कि boss this X person के यहाँ रेड पड़ी and this has been arrested and this much amount has been unearthed and these are things. Now when you read these reports, just read one of these words out of these two words would be there. They would be saying either there was use of data analytics or 360-degree profiling. You would see one of these two words, data analysis or 360-degree profiling. When you read the word data analysis, that means they have used ADVAT to predict it. ADVAT, the central government. And when you read 360-degree profiling, this means the software of the state has been used. Software of the state has predicted. Now, because they work hand in hand, and I will explain it in next few slides, that most of the data lies with the states. They have a better data than the central government one. But you will find that most of the rates are conducted by central government, CGST. So informations and reports are gathered by SGST and they are usually passed on to CGST and they conduct rate. Why they are passing these? Because of some avoiding all sort of permissions, political and these all things, which I don't want to discuss, but you understand. SGST सब पर हाथ नहीं डाल सकता. That's why they share information to CGST. So if word is used data analysis, then it is ADVAT. If word is used 360-degree profiling, then it is state. और अगर दोनों word use हुए, then you will find that normally the raid has been conducted by CGST department. Now this is state software by far. Now this software is being used by many of the states. Now the objective of this software is to revenue assurance and they are not into policy formation. So ADVAT is for policy formation. This is only to provide statistics for helping policymakers. And this is there. We are not concerned with it. What we are concerned is that this software has 100 TB of historical data. 100 TB of historical data. Now the difference between database of these two software is that CGST software at VAT has a database of excise, customs, service tax, and GST. They have data. Vis-a-vis the state software has database of state excise, VAT, sales tax, right to use of goods, work contract. Later on, everything merged into one return. But for some period, there were different returns also. Entry tax, and of course, they have GST. So the database of state is better than what database of central is, because they have more set of analysis. And of course, the database of state has geographical issue also. They have better data compared to state. So business for X state would be difference in business for Y state. So for example, if we go to Punjab, then that could be having more of agriculture or say medicinal type of business would be there. Without it, if we come to Gujarat, then you have more industrial units. That is basic difference. So better database, better reporting is with state, and they will provide a better data. Now, what they are going to help this is scrutiny verifying of the risk profiling. They have historical tax evasion prone sectors. They have common items जहाँ पर tax की चोरी हो सकती है. That's why they will pick up these sort of cases for scrutiny or say for audits also. Now, parameters for picking up is for scrutiny that are being defined by only by two states, two instructions by Kerala and by central government. So Kerala, we will discuss a few points. So first is, second one is ITC utilization of more than 5 times of the cash. When we go to central government instructions or say SOP on fake invoices on 12th May 2019, in that SOP, what they have said, that if someone is using less than 5% of ITC, then that person is into risk profiling. That means if someone uses 95% of the ITC, the SOP says he is a genuine man, good man. And of course, we have Rule 86B, where we have issues with 1% of the payment of 1% of the tax, and we have certain exceptions, banking sectors, and we have so many exceptions. And in those exceptions, we have linked income tax with GST कि भैया इतने रुपए के इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न फाइल करिए तो इसका मतलब ये अच्छा आदमी है, ये 1% मैंडेटरी टैक्स लिमिट से बाहर आ जाता है. But again, it was 5% of IT, so cash. But when we read this profiling, it says 5 times of the cash. That means they say that if someone is paying 16.6% of the cash, discharging his liability in cash, then you need not to cover this in scrutiny. Of course, as any assessing officer can pick other cases in scrutiny also, but ये एक मोटा बात समझना है यहाँ पे. Now 16.6% is very high amount, and this might impact many of you, many of your clients also. But of course, these parameters are for Kerala. Now, there could be genuine cases. Say somebody has started new businesses here. Someone has added new warehouse, someone has added new godown, someone has added new showroom, a new factory has been set up. So there are various reasons why your ITC would be more than this. So if it is a genuine reason, then you have to accept it. Then we come to next parameter, turnover above 1 crore, but cash paid nil. Now they are saying that you should scrutinize all these cases. कि भैया 1 करोड़ का टैक्स पे कर दिया, 1 करोड़ की सेल्स दिखा दी, you have shown a supplies of more than 1 crore, but you have paid cash paid is 0. Now, if you remember when I told you what the instructions were issued, when I told you first instructions were issued by Tamil Nadu, 1.5 page, and then Kerala issued for 4 pages. Now in Tamil Nadu instruction, it has only section 61 and rule 99. It has written nothing other than this. Initially to commissioner and these all, वो एक अलग चीज है, बाकी कुछ भी नहीं लिखा हुआ. Now उन्होंने instructions तो issue कर दी तमिलनाडु ने, but they forgot to pick up this point. Therefore, last month they have identified 1.38 lakh assessees. 1.38 lakh assessees जिनका turnover 1 crore से ज्यादा है और उनका cash payment nil है. That they have found in Tamil Nadu, and now they have issued notices to all such parties. So GST is basically a central act. We are into one nation, one tax. Whatever is happening in one state by state department, we should keep track on that. Because whatever one state is doing, second state or your state might do it later on. So if your client is as such, who has turnover of 1 crore, above 1 crore, and he has not paid anything, then ideally you should start reconciling what were the reasons. You should record those reasons. What were the reasons why this has not been paid? Then 2A, 3B, ITC comparison. I will cover it later on. GST 9 and 80 difference. ITC availed after due date, section 16, subsection 4. We will cover it later. Capital goods, ITC versus exempt. I have told you in my example कि भैया मैंने गलती से nil return को exempt में डाल दिया. अब सॉफ्टवेयर उनका बोलता है कि भैया इसका ये exempt supplies थी, इसके correspondingly credit क्यों नहीं reverse करा? And there was no reversal of credit because it was not a exempt supply, it was unrelated supply. GSTR1 versus 3B mismatch, there could be genuine reasons for these mismatches also. GSTR 3B versus e-waybill or turnover less than TDS and TCS, these would not be in 2017-18, it would be in 18-19. And whenever I talk about 17-18, please do, it is an implied thing that I am talking from 1st July 17 to 31st March 2018. Because GST was implemented and I am ignoring April to June 2017. एक inherent part है. One thing, why we have these scrutiny and risk parameters written like this? Because due to certain reasons, the portal was not ready for online scrutiny. For 1920, for 17, 18, 18, 19, these are the norms, and for 1920, hopefully we will go for 100% of the online scrutiny. Now these are central risk parameter. Of course, they are higher. First is ITC claim from a non-genuine taxpayer whose RC is cancelled from backdate. We will consider this also. Excess ITC with GSTR 9 and 3B. And then ineligible ITC where someone has issued only GSTR 1 has not filed GSTR 3. And as you all know, taxes has to be, ITC is eligible to be claimed only when you satisfy all the 4 conditions of section 16. And I'm talking about 17, 18 and 18, 19. I'm not talking about 16, 16, 2 AA, which has been made applicable later on. I'm talking about those conditions, the 4 basic conditions. Those were, you have receipts, goods and supplies. You have a tax invoice, taxes has been paid to the government and returns has been filed. And there were two exceptions for this. The provisos were that in case of lots, last lot or installment, last installment, you have to take credit, and reversal of ITC within 180 days if you fails to pay taxes. Then ITC claim more than GSTR to it, and interest you had incidentally you had filed your return late, you have paid taxes late, but you have not paid any interest on it. And see, इस तरह के cases तब होते हैं when fourth GST law is used. Fourth GST law, which I told you कि भैया client ने कहा कि साहब ऐसा है, मेरे पास पैसे की shortage है, टैक्स तो पे कर दो, इंटरेस्ट जब मांगा जाएगा तब देखा जाएगा. तो जीएसटी स्क्रूटनी नोटिस वही देखने के लिए है कि जो कह दिया गया कि देखा जाएगा बाद में, तो वो बाद वाला समय है बाद. Less turnover on GSTR 1 with GSTR 7 or GSTR 8, it could be for 1890, and there are genuine cases why there could be a less turnover. We will discuss with the respective slides. RCM liability, there could be mismatch in RCM liability, there could be a genuine case also. And this is ITC. ITC after last date, which we are discussing. And एक तो था कि हमने 16/4 की डेडलाइन मिस करी. Now we had an invoice for say March, and we missed to take credit of it on by September. Second case is this case is कि उस जो हमारा वेंडर था उसने ही लेट फाइल करा after September has gone, and that is a substantial amount. इस केस में there are two set of experts. One set of experts says कि भैया मार्च का बिल था, सितंबर तक क्लेम कर लेते, नहीं कर पाए, then it is gone. एक सेट ऑफ एक्सपर्ट कहते हैं कि भैया जिस दिन दिखाई दिया वहां से 16/4 की डेडलाइन लगेगी, एंड क्योंकि उसकी गलती थी तो मैं कैसे, हाउ कैन यू पनिश मी? I leave it to your wisdom how you will handle it. Then IGST, how the IGST credit has to be taken, and then there are ISD issues, and then late fees. So simple, it is a very simple thing. कुछ ज़्यादा है नहीं इसमें. Whenever they will find discrepancies with respect to correctness of the return, and they will issue you a notice in ASMT 10. You will pay taxes, or you will pay partial tax, or you might say I disagree with whole of the demand, and if explanation is satisfactory to the department, they will issue ASMT 12. If you don't respond, or there are no satisfactory explanation, then they will they might open 73-74, or they might. But the thing is, what does the word discrepancy mean? Now, I'm talking about two words: correctness of the return and discrepancies. Correctness of the return, they will check and they will communicate you discrepancies. The discrepancy is not being explained in GST laws. But discrepancy, when we read, it means that there is a difference between two things, and there is a disagreement between something. It is not contradiction. Contradiction बिल्कुल अलग होता है. There is a difference, and those differences should be factual, opinion based. Okay, there is a saying: a man can be wrong on opinion. A man can be wrong on opinion, but he can never be wrong on the facts. So a person can never be wrong on the facts. Now we are discussing facts. We are not discussing opinions. Okay, this is, you can go through yourself, and then what audit would be done, what they would be doing. This is not to be discussed. And see, scrutiny of the notice will not end in order. कि भैया demand order यहाँ पर नहीं आ सकता. Demand order will come in 73 or 74. Demand order इसमें नहीं आएगा. To get a demand order, 73, 74, and then we have 73, 74 has to be done in 3 years, and 73, and in 5 years, 74. And when it is 3 years, then a notice should have been served 3 months before of passing of the order. Yani 36 minus 3, 33 months में आपको notice आ जाना चाहिए. For 2017-18, the due date is November this year. And in 74, because these are the cases of fraud, तो fraud को prove करने के लिए ज़्यादा time लगता है. Therefore, department has been given 5 years time. But you also need time to prove that there is no fraud. That's why the 3 months period has been given to you 6 months. So 16 minus 6, 54 months में आपको notice serve हो जाना चाहिए. We are talking about the notices, and if order is not passed within 36 months or 60 months, तो फिर उसके बाद टाइम लिमिट लगती है. They cannot pass order also. अगर टाइम चला गया तो फिर ऑर्डर भी नहीं आ सकता. Now, this is कि these are 73, 74 वो आप खुद से भी जानते हैं, पढ़ लेंगे आराम से. और ये टाइम लिमिट्स आपको अलग से मिल जाएंगे. This is a SOP of central government which we are discussing, and I'm ignoring this क्योंकि ये time limit सारी आपके लिए नहीं है. These are for department also. The first thing, when we talk about this outward supply in GSTR1 versus 3, outward supplies in GSTR1 versus 3. If your outward supplies in GSTR1 is less than, so sorry, 3B is less than GSTR1, then department will conclude कि भैया इन्होंने टैक्स की चोरी करी है, इन्होंने ITC ज़्यादा पास ऑन किया है और इन्होंने टैक्स कम पे करा है. Now, किस तरह के genuine cases हो सकते हैं? What could be the genuine cases? Where GSTR 3B is of a less amount, 3B is of a less amount, but there are genuine cases. कोई malified intention नहीं. Now this could be, say, as you all know, even after 5 years of GST, almost 5 years, मान लेते हैं जून के रिटर्न जाने बाद 5 साल हो जाए. After 5 years of GST, we are not able to put negative figures in GSTR. And if it happens कि आपकी supplies, there are return of your outward supplies, तो आप GSTR1 में तो normal दिखाते रहेंगे. There is a credit note और वो आप पूरा 3B में नहीं डाल पा रहे. आप हर महीने थोड़ा करके एडजस्ट करते जा रहे हैं. This could be a genuine reason. Now this could be this could be because deficiency of the service, deficiency of the supplies, or you have received your goods back. There could be a number of reasons. Second thing, if you remember, initially when GST was launched, and we have to recall law as on 1718 and 1819, because उस समय जो law था उसकी checking हो रही है. And in 5 years GST law has changed so much change कि कई बार हमें भी याद करने में दिक्कत आती है कि उस समय क्या law था. We do take time to recall. So if you remember, when GST was started, we had GST on advance to supplier of goods also. Advance to supplier of goods. Now that was removed from 12th October 2017 को meeting हुई थी, and that was removed from 13th October 2017. Or if it is 13th October 2017, then it has been removed from 14th October. ये एक डेट का फर्क. So वहां तक आपने एडवांस लिया on goods. Now if you are returning that money or if you are adjusting that money in later period, then there could be difference in GSTR1 and GSTR3. It could be a genuine reason. So, and there could be n number of genuine reasons. It's a factual thing. Fact to fact देखते जाइए, आपको फर्क पता चलता जाएगा. Then RCM liability with the corresponding tax paid. Corresponding RTC. Now they are saying that RCM what you have claimed as ITC is higher than what RCM you have paid. Now when GST was implemented, there were two set of views of claiming of ITC on RCM. One set of group said that ITC on RCM can be claimed in the month which we are going to pay, on which we are discharging liability. Second set said that because we are discharging liability in this month, we are allowed to claim ITC next month. We are allowed to claim ITC next month. So this is a proposition M1, M2. So if your client is in second category, who pays M1 and claims ITC in M2, then there could be gap in what you are paying and what you are claiming. And this becomes important when there is an year change. So for example, for March, you have paid tax and you are claiming it as an ITC in April. This is the change. If it is paid in that month and claimed in that month, तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं. Second thing, this is next to impossible because RCM will always be paid in cash and then only someone would claim credit. RCM cannot be paid in ITC, but some people did this mistake in initial periods and they paid RCM through ITC also. Now somebody might argue कि सर वो तो हो ही नहीं सकता कि RCM से आप ITC से पे कर दो, तो सिस्टम ही अलाउ नहीं करता. सर, we are talking about today's system अलाउ नहीं करता. We both agree. But while filing return of July to say July or August, system agree कर रहा था, नहीं कर रहा था, system was allowing or disallowing. ये मुझे भी याद है, मुझे भी पता नहीं, मैंने भी क्रॉस चेक नहीं करा क्योंकि मैंने तो कभी RCM ITC से पे करने की सोची नहीं है. I would have never tried it. लेकिन जिसने भी करा होगा और अगर सिस्टम ने एक्सेप्ट कर लिया होगा, could be possibility. तो शायद उस पीरियड में वहां पर दिक्कत होगी. So never agree anything without cross checking in GST, especially when you are dealing with portal. So RCM liability, those who are in GSTR 2. Now there is one more thing, RCM. So someone from Vivo, he's asking a question which is not relevant for this discussion, but let's answer. GSTR1 IFF facilities, how to submit B2C supplies. So B2C supplies are not to be shown in IFF. IFF is only a facilitation method for B2B supplies, not B2C. वैसे क्वेश्चन आज पढ़ के नहीं आया था, आता था इसलिए आंसर कर दिया. अगर क्वेश्चन का आंसर नहीं आता हो तो मना कर दूंगा कि भैया आज पढ़ के नहीं, आज स्क्रूटनी पढ़ के आए. Game. Now, we have talked about RCM, but there could be a possibility, and this is a legal provision, that in case of receipt of supplies of services, supplies received for services, then you have 60 days time to discharge that RCM liability. So, for example, I have a good friend, my lawyer friend, and unse mera baatcheet chalti hai, and he gives me credit also, and he gave me credit of 90 days. He gave me credit of 90 days. हालांकि मिलना मुश्किल है, but theoretically मान लेते हैं. So I have to discharge my GST liability whenever I am making his payment in case of supply for services, or within 60 days from date of invoice, whichever is earlier. So when I am going to make him payment in 90 days, but I have to discharge my ITC GS RCM output liability in 60 days. Now this has an impact. Why? This means that I am receiving supplies in, and wo jo lawyer the, they are into forward charge also. They file their return और उस पर tick कर देते हैं that this is in my this output, this of their output supply has to be discharged by RC. So what I have to do? So what I am doing, I received the supply in M1 and I am paying GST on this liability in M3, M1, M3, and therefore this is as per the scheme of GST, but there will be mismatch. GSTR 2A, जब मैं देखूंगा, it would be showing RCM liability for M1, vis-a-vis I would be paying this in M3, and same for M2, M4, M3, M5. Now this could create problem in year-end transactions. So for January, whatever I have received, I would definitely be paying in March, but for February, I would be paying in April. For March, I would be paying in May. So this could be a problem. And then these are genuine cases. Also, if you remember what has happened in 2017, in the starting period of GST, we had a section, and the section used to say that you are allowed, you have to pay GST on whatever inward supplies you receive from unregistered person, subject to X amount of deduction threshold allowed per day for total. मेरे को दो चीज याद नहीं आ रही, एक तो वो लिमिट याद नहीं आ रही, 5,000 थी, 10,000 थी, 15,000 थी पर डे. सेक्शन में कंफ्यूज हो गया, 93 था, 94 था. जरा चैट मैसेंजर में बता दो whether that section was 93, 94 or the limit was 5,000, 10,000 or 15,000. जरा ये बता दो. Only two answers. An amount. बाकी लोग बता नहीं रहे. Yes, the correct section was 94 and the limit was of 5,000 rupees per day. देखो ये इसलिए करवाया कि अगर आपको भी नींद आ रही हो तो आप जाग जाए, कुछ याद भी कर लो. पुराना लॉ है, and we are going to discuss that only. तो 94 was with 5,000 rupees per day. अब कई बार ऐसा भी हुआ है, not talking about you in particular, कई बार ऐसा भी होता है that while doing something, while doing some filing of the returns, and somebody would have entered some expenditure, randomly some expenditures, and those are the bill which are expenditure are checked today, and they are of that period, an RCM liability was not discharged on those, there could be a possibility. There could be a possibility. क्योंकि जब वो सेक्शन हट गया था हमने शायद ध्यान नहीं दिया. And then there could be an additional tax liability on those. Could be possibility. I'm naming it. कहीं ना कहीं शायद कुछ हो गया. तो ये हमने कर लिया. RCM will always be paid in cash. ऐसा कोई चांस है नहीं. Now, when they were matching, you have claimed an ISG credit. You have claimed an ISG credit, but they say that whatever ISG has passed on to you, you have claimed a higher credit. I don't feel that there could be such cases, but they say that there could be someone. And if you have received more the ISG credit than what was passed on by your ISG, and if this has been a genuine mistake, then please accept this mistake and pay the amount, excess amount. We should not contest with what ITC is not genuine. Now, this is a contention of everyone. ITC is not matching with auto-populated GSTR2. And I hope few of your client or some of your client must have got such kind of notices that ITC is not matching with GSTR2. Now the first question comes whether there was GSTR2A available in July 2017. Now I have been asked to match with it. Was there GSTR2A on when I was filing July 2017 return? The answer is no. Can I take a plea and say that because on July 2017 GSTR2A was not there, therefore I was not able to match my credit with GSTR2? The answer is no. The answer is no. And this has been said by none other than Honorable Supreme Court in Bharti Airtel case. And they have said that GSTR2A was only for facilitation method. Just a facility to provide to you. Tax liability has always been discharged as per self-assessment method. Tax liability has been discharged as per self-assessment method, and therefore you have all the rights to claim ITC. Now, just coming out of this discussion of GSTR2 and 3, just 1 minute. Coming out of this, we understand that GST returns are filed on self-assessment method. Everyone agrees, and we file it under section 39. GSTR 1 and 3B. 3B we file as per self-assessment method and we pay taxes. One simple question. Self-assessment का मतलब होता है, what does self-assessment mean? I am telling my output liability. I am deducting input tax from that output liability, and now this is my self-assessment. What my understanding of self-assessment means, I am saying my liability is 100 rupees and I have an input tax of 70 rupees. I am deducting 70 from that 100 and I am paying 30 rupees. Agree with this point? Now, what is the mechanism of GST? ITC is self-assessed or vendor-assessed. अगर मेरा GSTR2A 2B में it is showing only 60 rupees, then I will take deduction of 60 or 70. Chat messenger, only one line answer whether ITC is self-assessed or vendor-assessed. Just one line answer. ITC is self-assessed or vendor-assessed? So technically the name is self-assess, but it is not self-assess because we don't have the mechanism for self-assess ITC. The original returns were GSTR 1, 2, and 3. In 1, I was telling this is my outward liability. In 2, I was telling this is my input tax credit. And when 2 was not matched with 1, then 1A was generated. And then the vendor has to accept, modify, or reject the liability. And whatever he does, his GSTR 1 would be amended with that acceptance, and the acceptance was to be communicated in 2. And that was not, the scheme was never ever saw the daylight. And therefore, whatever technically we can say that, okay, GST returns are self-assess. I agree with this because GSTR 1 is self-assess. I am telling you this is my output liability. But for ITC, I am not telling whatever ITC I can claim. It is vendor assess, someone is assessing it for me. So somebody asked me how to show B2C supplies in IFF. So this IFF, if he doesn't put, what say your client, IFF is not mandatory. Your vendor is not putting his B2B supplies in IFF. It is not mandatory. Can you claim credit on that? The answer is no. The answer is no. Now we have a limit of 100%. Earlier in October 2019, we got a limit of 120%. Then from 1st January 2020, we had a limit of 110% from due to Corona COVID. From February to August, we have a relaxation of claiming as per books. And then in September, we have to give totality of this 110%. And from 1st January 2021, it was 5%, 105%. And from 1st January 2022, it is 100% of 2B, not 2A, it is 2. So again, coming back to the original question. So if entries or records are not available in 2A, what has to be done? And how it has to be done? So first understand, during 2017 and 18 and 18 and 19, there was no restriction in the law that ITC should be flowed through GSTR 2. There was nothing there. If ITC conditions were satisfied, then authorities should not disallow the law. And this has been mentioned specifically in instructions of Maharashtra State. Maharashtra State has specifically mentioned that for allowing credits, you should cross-check those with GST, not with GSTR 2A, with the actual invoices and these all things. ITC should be available on the basis of tax invoice of the supplier, whether they are visible in the records in GSTR 2A or not. We come to press release of 18th October 2018. In that press release, paragraph 4, when we read that, it says that GSTR 2A is only to facilitate you. It has no link with the ITC. और अभी थोड़ी देर पहले विनाश सर हमारे साथ थे. Health issue of uncle, he is not with us in this seminar. अगर आपको याद है, तो this matter went to the court, and he was the counsel there of Honorable Gujarat High Court judgment in Aap and Company, where the decision came that GSTR 3B is not a return, and therefore you cannot link credit with GSTR 3B. Of course, the judgment has been overturned by Honorable Supreme Court, but that judgment was Aap and Company was represented by Avinash sir only. Now coming to a recent judgment of 23rd February 2022, Honorable Gujarat High Court judgment in New Nalban Traders. Now in this case was blocking of ITC. Rule 86A, it was blocked. And the assessee contended कि भाई, I have everything. Why are you blocking my ITC? And I have invoices, I have payment slips, जिसको धर्म काटा की पर्ची भी बोलते हैं नॉर्थ इंडिया में. I don't know what is the name in Gujarat. E-way bills, etc. I have everything which was prescribed in GST law, and now you are blocking my credit. Now the court said that Rule 86 brings bona fide hardship, and whenever you give a ITC benefit to someone, then it should be read with conditions prescribed in GST laws. You cannot have ITC blocking as per your views. कि भैया 2A में नहीं दिख रहा, we are blocking this. No, ITC has to be read. ITC has to be provided as per GST laws. And GST laws, section 16 subsection 2 gives only 4 conditions. If you go 17, 18. So again, we have got a question in between. He's saying, sir, I have a GST registration but not making any turnover. Can I cancel my registration? The answer is yes. If you don't have any turnover, you can cancel it. Sir, scrutiny के question पूछो ना, तैयारी करके आया, इसमें preparation भी नहीं है कि मना करना पड़ जाएगा. So this is Gujarat High Court decision, and it is applicable in your state. So you can use this decision in your state, or your officer cannot refuse to accept this statement. See, the thing is that if I want to use this decision in Rajasthan, or say in Maharashtra or Delhi, GST is a central act, and any high court decision is only explaining the law. Ideally, it should be applicable all over India. But we have a state jurisdiction and a high court jurisdiction, territorial jurisdiction. Therefore, the orders of other state high court are not binding, but they have a persuasive value. They have a persuasive value. So in your state, this decision is binding one, and you can utilize it in the state. Then we have TDS and TCS issues, and the problem in this is, as a normal taxpayer, my liability is on accrual basis, mercantile basis. So whenever I issue an invoice, I have to pay my liability. I have to discharge my liability. Wherever, say, if we say by TDS, now those are PSUs or government entity, they usually take 1 to 2 month time for making payment. And while making payment, they have to deduct TDS. So it is very much possible that I am showing my outward liability in month 1, M1, and they are issuing me TDS credit. They are making me payments and TDS in month 3. So there would be mismatch. But if that is within the financial year, say April to March, then it is okay. But what about, say, January, February, and March? There could be cases where these payments have been received in next year, next financial year, say April, May, and June. And therefore, there would be a mismatch. So we need a reconciliation statement for all these cases. And same thing, whatever is applicable for TDS, similarly is applicable for TCS. Then GSTR 3B with e-way bill. Now there could be cases where it is not matching with my e-way bill. Agree. But there are various reasons where I have to generate e-way bill, which are not my supplies. You can't take base as an e-way bill, because if I'm sending something on a delivery challan, I'm sending molds, dies, or say for job work also, then on those are not my supply, those will not match with my GST. 3B. So ideally, e-way bill would be lesser than the amount of total supplies. क्योंकि कुछ तो आपने लिमिट से कम भी दिए होंगे, but if it exceeds, then you need to have a reconciliation statement. Then we have ITC from registration retrospectively cancelled, and vendor registration has been cancelled. In North, what has happened? What is prevalent practice that if department cancels someone's registration for a motor, then they cancel it from the very first day. They don't cancel it from the later. For example, they are cancelling GST registration say on 10th of June. So what they will say, this registration has been cancelled from 1st of July 2017. Matter over. Now, if registration is cancelled retrospectively, then what does it mean? Whether ITC would be available to you on all those transactions, yes or no, which has been retrospectively cancelled. If someone's registration is retrospectively cancelled, then department here in, especially in Delhi, forces everyone to pay whole of the ITC which you have claimed from 1st July 2017. Is this same in Gujarat or whatever western region you are there? Is this same in your area? Yes or no? डिपार्टमेंट किसी का रेट्रोस्पेक्टिवली कैंसिल कर देता है तो क्या रेसिपेंट को बोलते हैं कि भैया सारा आईटीसी इसका पेमेंट करो आप, you have claimed a bogus ITC because it has been cancelled and XYZ. कोई भी एक बता दो, yes or no, whatever happens in your side. So we have got 3 years. In with 3 years, so बाकी लोग तो reply नहीं कर रहे. I consider position is same in your area. No. So we have got one no also. Deepal says no. Otherwise, other than Deepal, everyone says yes, it happens same. So department will argue with you or they will force you to pay ITC now because it has been cancelled. Now, whenever it has been cancelled, check your 2A. Check your 2A. और 2A में साफ साफ दिखेगा रजिस्ट्रेशन कैंसिल्ड और उसमें डेट आएगी किस डेट को कैंसिल हुआ. It has been cancelled from back date, but the date will be shown from 10th of June 2022. So ideally, whatever transactions you have entered before 10th of June 2022, and if taxes has been paid, if you can prove that taxes has been paid with his GSTR 3B and GSTR 1, so GSTR 1, GSTR 3B लगाकर, if you can prove that taxes has been paid on those retrospective cancellation, then ITC cannot be denied to you. ITC cannot be denied to you if the taxes has been paid. First thing you have to check what was the date of cancellation. That has been cancelled retrospectively, I agree. But on which date it has been cancelled retrospectively? First thing you have to check that. And then you have to go ahead. Now I am sharing you some decisions from other states high courts. All these decisions have persuasive value. These have persuasive value. These are not binding. This is Calcutta High Court decision, month or say 45 days old decision. And in this case, ITC was denied, and because retrospective cancellation was there. The petitioner said, Sanchita Kundu, in this case said, and this was the case with GST intelligence only, anti-evasion intelligence. Oh, Sanchita Kundu said that was what I have done. I have tracked the genuineness of all the clients. I have taken, whenever I purchase with someone, what I did was I have taken a screenshot that these registrations are valid from the gst.gov.in, and they were registered with the government when I did the transaction, and therefore I didn't have any other option to cross-check genuineness of these persons. I don't have any option to check genuineness of these persons because if you remember, See, we are going to complete 5 years of GST. But if you remember, GST में एक चीज बोली थी, GST scorecard. They said that we will give a scorecard to everyone on his filing, on his tax payment, on his return filing. GST scorecard आपको सबको मिलेगा. That would be visible online, and then you can deal with that person. But like tribunal is missing, GST scorecard is also missing. So we don't have any GST scorecard. So what he said that I cannot check whether the person is paying GST or not. Again, now this facility has been provided that you can go and cross check whether he has filed his return or not, whether there is a difference between GSTR1 and GSTR3. That is also there. But again, I cannot check whether while filing his GSTR3B, he has utilized ITC, which is correct or not. That also I cannot check. What maximum I can check that GSTR1, and there is a percentage when you see GSTR1 and GSTR3B, so you will see he has discharged 100% of the liability. But the 100% has been discharged with ITC or with cash, we don't know that. That we don't know. That is not available to us also. Maximum whatever is available is that we can cross check is registration was valid. So Sanchita Kundu said that I could cross check the registration was valid. He has filed his returns and that's over. I cannot check more things. And he said that all the transactions were through banking channels and we are helpless because we have made the payment to registered taxpayer. And now when you are asking money from me, for payment of that amount which I have paid ITC to that person, to my vendors, department should establish some sort of collusion. And because there was no collusion, because their department is unable to prove any collusion between vendor and me, department cannot reject my ITC claim. And in this case, petitioner said that when I claimed that ITC, those ITC was visible in GSTR2A also, and department is not disputing that, and therefore ITC should be allowed. The court said that ITC can be denied only on the future transaction when GST registration was cancelled. It cannot be denied for retrospective cancellation and for what ITC has been paid. Again, this is an important judgment, but we have an issue with this judgment. This judgment was a single bench judge. Sometimes what happens when we deal with judgments, so we have to cross check also how many judges bench this judgment has come. So if it is single bench judgment and we have a judgment of 2 bench, then 2 bench judgment will prevail over single bench. In case of Supreme Court, we might see 5 bench, 7 bench and 9 bench judgment also. So we have to be very careful, cautious while checking the strength of the bench also while utilizing any judgment. Now we have another case of Madras High Court. Now in this, and this is judgment of VAT. And in this, petitioner challenged the reversal of ITC because registration of the seller or vendor was cancelled. And in this case, High Court said that we have to check the effective date of registration cancellation, and whatever date invoices were before cancellation, all of the credit is available. All of the ITC should be available. Because see, if you see any taxpayer or any tax professional doesn't have a crystal ball. हम आज प्रिडिक्ट नहीं कर सकते कि जिससे हम आज काम कर रहे हैं आज से 2 साल बाद उसका रजिस्ट्रेशन कैंसिल हो जाएगा. We don't know this. So this is the problem, and department accepts us कि हमें ये सब पता होगा. So if you have dealt with a client, if your client has dealt with some sort of client for once or twice, they did a single transaction with them. You did a transaction once in your lifetime. And after 3 years, the registration got cancelled. फिर आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि भाई बिकॉज उसने 3 साल पहले आपने काम करा था उसका रजिस्ट्रेशन कैंसिल कर रहे हैं, दैट्स व्हाई वी आर रिवर्सिंग दिस आईटीसी. दिस इज नॉट रॉन्ग. And retrospective cancellation of ITC is gradually becoming a problem for a genuine taxpayer. And they said that ITC claim should be available till the date of his registration was cancelled on the day. Now, ITC where GST 3B has been not filed. So, 16, 4 basic conditions. You have a tax invoice, you have received supplies of goods or services or both. You have the tax has been paid to the government and returns have been filed. Now, how the vendor will pay tax to the government? When he files GST 3. Now, in this case, what department is saying that the party has filed GST 1, but they have not filed GST 3. They have filed GST 1. They had passed on credit to you, but they have not filed their GST 3. Now, if someone has not paid taxes to government, then I think the 4 basic conditions, one of them is violated, and therefore ITC is not allowed to. But there is another thought. A group of people might say, "Sir, मेरी क्या गलती है?" And how you will ensure भैया इसने GST 3 भी फाइल करी नहीं करी? When you go to 2A, तो GST 1 के सामने जब GST 3 भी का आएगा तो वहां पर आएगा Y और N. So Y means yes, he has filed his return GST 3B, the tax liability has been discharged. I presume कि भैया जितनी GST 1 में थी उतनी 3B में थी. Or he has, if it is written N, then means it has not been paid. Now, how this restricts my right? See, there are 2 things. Let me ask another question. How many of you believe that ITC is my constitutionally vested right under Article 300A? Yes or no? How many of you agree it is my constitutionally vested right? ITC is my right. Who answers yes, no? Evenly divided. So we have more people who are saying yes, no, yes. See, I don't have answer for this. Both are correct. Those who are saying yes, they are also correct. Those who are saying no, they are also correct. इससे फर्क क्या पड़ता है? Yes, no, sir. See, there is a group of experts which say ITC is my vested right. And if it is my vested right under Article 300A, then anything happens post that day, when it was my right, it cannot be snatched from me. अगर मेरा वेस्टेड राइट है, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट है, तो आप मेरे से क्रेडिट छीन नहीं सकते. बाद में अगर कुछ होता है, the conditions, whatever event happen after the date, it becomes my vested right. ठीक है? Second group of experts says this is not my constitutionally vested right, Article 300. This is not my right. This is a procedural benefits provided to you or a concession provided to you. And when we talk about concession or benefits, provided to you, they are always conditional. And whenever some benefits are provided which are conditional, then those have to be strictly understood, construed with all the comma full stop. That has to be strictly construed, including all comma full stop, everything. So those who believe it is my constitutionally vested right, once I fulfill all my conditions, once it is my constitutionally vested right under Article 300A, then anything happen post that day, no one can snatch it. If on that day I fulfilled all the conditions. But if it is a concession, and as per the scheme of GST, it seems that it is more of a concessional benefit. यूसुफ मोहम्मद जी, क्वेश्चन का आंसर नहीं आता, आज तो बिल्कुल नहीं आता, पढ़कर नहीं आया। अनरजिस्टर्ड डीलर से टिम्बर परचेज कर रहे हैं, टैक्सेबल नॉन टैक्सेबल, मेरे को बिल्कुल नहीं आता, किसी और को आता हो तो चैट मैसेंजर में रिप्लाई कर दीजिए। So it is in those cases, because I have not fulfilled those conditions, this is not my right. And department is right in denying. So your argument, how you want to take this case further, depends on how you presume. I'm happy. I agree with both of the views. I don't have any my own view on this matter. But if we understand the basic also, if it has to become my constitutionally vested right also, then I have to fulfill all four conditions. I have a taxable invoice, I have received goods or services or both, tax has been paid to the government, and I have filed my return. Now when tax has to be paid to the government, and if this condition is not fulfilled, then it is a problem. देखिए 2A में नहीं दिख रहा है, इसके genuine reasons भी हो सकते हैं. How? Mistakenly he has shown B2B supplies as B2C. So in Gujarat, you had three registrations: Ahmedabad, Surat, and Vadodara. You have received supplied at Surat, but he has used GSTIN of Vadodara. Could be possible. So in all those cases where credit is not available in 2A, it could be provided on the basis of other documentary evidence. Subject to, say, if it is required, you can submit an affidavit also from the Vadodara unit. If Vadodara unit has not claimed this ITC and they have never claimed, you can cross-check those returns. I am claiming it. And department should give you benefit. I'm saying should give you benefit. But in this case, where actually tax has not been paid, सिर्फ बिल इशू करे जा रहे हैं, GSTR 1 में करोड़ों का टर्नओवर है, GSTR 3B is of nil. In those cases, ITC will not be allowed to. And even in my gut feeling, I feel that the court will also not give you relief in these cases. Now, what could be the cases in your defense when ITC is not paid by the supplier? Now, again, some of these cases are from ITT era, and law in state-wise VAT was very different from GST. So, and the scheme of VAT was different. So these cases might be applicable, might not be applicable. With this disclaimer, I'm sharing with these cases. The first is Delhi High Court, Quest Merchandising. In this, so we had section 9 in our Delhi VAT Act, where it speaks about reversal of these kind of credits. So they say that because someone has done cheating, You cannot deny credit to a buyer. You cannot deny credit to a buyer. So because he has done all the dealings with the purchase with the genuine person, bona fide person, and they have all tax invoice and all transactions are there. Therefore, you cannot repeat it. Because see, the denial of ITC in VAT or IDT regime was very clear. There was demarcation. Ki bhaiya, if person is genuine, we are not going to deny him benefit. If there is a collusion or malified intention and there are willful suppressions, then we will deny ITC. But in case of genuine one, all the high courts have said that ITC will not be denied. Now we have Madras High Court, Shri Vinakya agencies. They said, in fact, in this case, this was Tamil Nadu VAT, and they said that tax authority don't have the power to reverse the credit. Even they don't have the power. But see, we will not go into this because now in GST, they have the power to reverse your ITC. But in those days, they said that GST authorities don't have the power. This is one of the very celebrated judgment, Ghirulal Palchand, which talks about distinction between honest and dishonest dealer. And they said that law should not be like this, that you force a person to keep on doing compliances rather than doing his own business. And because there is no malified intention, there is no collusion, you cannot ask a dealer to run from pillar to post for his claim of the credit. But that was in VAT era. Now the scheme says that you have to ensure that this has been paid. So these were the judgments. We also have a Madras High Court judgment. And this says that ITC cannot be denied to the selling dealer who has not paid taxes to the government. And this is again a VAT judgment. And when we talk about 2A, 2B, we have two more judgments which are yet to be concluded. Two judgments. First is Balco of, I think it is of MP High Court, where a stay has been provided, where credits was not visible. And we have one more judgment of Saint Joseph of Kerala High Court. And in this judgment, it was said that 2A में credit नहीं दिख रहा तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं, credits cannot be linked with GST. Now this was a different judgment, just for understanding. Saint Joseph में हुआ ये था that due to certain reasons, his registration was not activated from July 17 to 18, probably March 18. So, GST registration was not activated. And later on, it was activated because of technical glitches. His registration was activated, and when the tax payment, when this was activated, then he said that how I will make tax payment. They said that you can make tax payment through DRC 03, और आप उससे tax and with interest pay कर दीजिए. He said, okay, I am ready to pay tax and interest, but what will happen to ITC of my purchaser? Because see, they said that we will not allow you to file returns from backdate. You have to file return in manual. He said, I will file return manually. I will pay taxes in DRC 03 also. But what will happen to ITC of my recipient? And then Kerala High Court said that GSTR 2A is only for facility. It has no link with ITC. And therefore, credits to your purchaser will not be denied because it is not visible in their GSTR 2A, and department accepted it. So you cannot say that always it is. Now ITC claimed after section 16 subsection 4. Now for 17-18, the due date for claiming credits was extended to March 2019. But the issue is when you the returns due date for claiming for credits is say बाय सितंबर रिटर्न, तो सितंबर की रिटर्न 20th अक्टूबर तक जाती है और 22nd और 24th अक्टूबर को जाती है 3B, एंड टिल दैट यू हैव टू क्लेम योर क्रेडिट्स. By this finance act they are bringing it date to 30th November. Now in service acts we had 90 days time to claim the credits, and if we didn't claim the credit then it was lapse. Now there are genuine cases also where someone has filed his return late and therefore credits could not be availed. There is no relaxation in this provision. So this is not relaxed. Now, yesterday or day before yesterday, a writ has been accepted by Patna High Court against Section 16 subsection 4. But what they said that we will give answer to this, but only if you deposit whatever amount 16.4 is. So till date we don't have any judgment on this, and equivalent to section 16 subsection 4 was the section in section 19 in Tamil Nadu VAT, and somebody challenged it in Madras High Court, and Madras High Court said that it's perfectly fine. The restrictions could be made on this for claim of ITC. Now, when you read section 16, अगर आप इस section 16 को दोबारा पढ़ेंगे तो section 16 means actually section 16.1, then we have section 16.2, which is the operative part, and we have 3 and 4. These are the machinery provisions. और एक बात बताओ, अच्छा, I'm asking without googling, just answer. Section 16 subsection 1 क्या बोलता है? It talks, or section 16 subsection 1 क्या बोलता है? It talks about entitlement of ITC, availment of ITC, or it talks about utilization of ITC. इन तीनों में से किस वर्ड पर section 16 subsection 1 बोलता है? Entitlement, availment, or utilization. So we have got 2 correct answers, Urvi Prajapati and Ashish ji. Section 16 subsection 1 speaks only and only about entitlement. Utilization goes in section 49 के भैया पहले CGST खत्म करना है, SGST खत्म करना है या वह खत्म करना है. It goes there. It's not about utilization. And when we read section 16 subsection 2, section 16 subsection 2, और आप इनकी 4 conditions अगर पढ़ें, और A, B, C, अब today we have AA also. Let's talk about A, AA, B, C. C के बाद आप देखें we have used the word and then we go to D. All 4 conditions has to be satisfied. In section 16.2, अगर आप उस section को अगर आप पढ़ें, section 16 subsection 2, then it starts with the word notwithstanding anything, and then एकदम से एक और word आ जाता है no person. तो एकदम से एक ही line में 2 words, 2 negative words, notwithstanding, no. This is the way you interpret. समझे? And then when we come to section 16 subsection 4, of course we have provisos of that also, but provisos is for because the time limit for 17-18 was extended to March 19. What does it mean? It means about utilization, availment. So section 16 subsection 1 speaks about entitlement, Two is also entitlement, and then we go for availment of it. So if you are entitled for something, then only you can avail. If you are you are not entitled for anything, you will not be able to avail it. But restrictions under section 16 subsection 4 are valid restrictions. Procedural restrictions, time limit can be prescribed by the law unless it is challenged in the court. See, a person can be wrong on his opinion. A person can be wrong on his opinion, but he can never be wrong on his facts. So my role is not to give an opinion. Courts can interpret it other way also. Courts can give you benefit also. A high court or Supreme Court can give you benefit also, but with the plain reading and as per my understanding, these provisions are valid provisions. You will not be allowed to utilize credit beyond the time limit prescribed in section 16 subsection. Then import of goods, two-way से कोई link होना ही नहीं है. If somebody says it is not the correct one, कि two-way में नहीं दिख रहा तो भी credit आपको मिलेगा. There is no restrictions. But if it is not available और आपको दिख नहीं रही, then there are other procedures. Then ITC reversals for exempt supplies and other supplies. And if mistakenly you have put nil return in nil supplies in exempt supplies, then department might ask for reversal. Then you have to prove that these were not exempt supply, mistakenly shown in exempt supplies. Because it is revenue neutral, it should have been shown in nil rated, and therefore please provide me. I'm not required to reverse any ITC orders. Then section 50, liability of interest is always on the net amount. Department tried to get it. So interest and late fees. So we have a retrospective amendment on the net amount. Whatever cash liability you have to pay interest only on that amount, and late fees we all know. And initially GSTR1 returns have been filed without payment of late fees. Now late fees has to be paid on this. Now this could disturb relationship between tax professionals and clients, क्योंकि clients को कभी भी हमने बताया ही नहीं था कि GSTR1 की late fees भी जाननी है. But now it is a time क्योंकि GSTR3B की late fees तो इसलिए जा रही थी क्योंकि वो automatically system में दिख रही थी, and system doesn't allow you to file your return unless you pay those fees. But GSTR1 में ऐसी कोई requirement नहीं थी, and therefore in scrutiny or in audit, this could be a problem. Now, ITC on goods. Now, department might have issues on ITC on goods. And the problem is that during initial phase of GST, few of the people might not have communicated their GST number with the ISCO portal. They had imported goods, they had paid taxes, but they have not provided their GST number with the portal, and therefore it is creating problem. But in all those cases, documentary evidence is sufficient, and you should take documentary evidence, get it verified from the import authority, and submit it along with the affidavit. If whenever required, department asks for anything, then you should always submit the affidavit that we take full responsibility. These are. And there was no, you could match all the entries with ISCAT. In case of courier companies, you are importing goods through air courier, and most of these air couriers have authorization to submit their own GST number, and therefore all the credits would be visible in their GST number. Now what you have to do in these cases where you have imported and paid duty, and that is paid on the number of the air courier company, then you need to get all the documents endorsed from them and verified from them, and you should take an affidavit from courier company that they are not going to claim ITC on this. And when you submit all these details along with courier note, along with assessment note and everything, then department officer should allow credits to you. Now there was a question whether, because they are doing scrutiny for a whole of the year, whether the interest should be charged monthly or annually. The answer is it has to be charged monthly, not annually. And GSTR 9 we will be matching with this everything, don't worry. Currently in regular case, whatever reconciliation we would be creating would be GSTR 3B versus GSTR 2A and 3B versus 1 for mismatching. But we need to develop 4 more reconciliation statement. First is reverse charge from registered person. Whatever RCM is there in GSTR 2A, and whenever we have made payment, we need to cross check all this, and we need to develop a reconciliation statement for our own working for this cases. The second is ITC on RCM transactions from when we have claimed that payment as ITC, and in this we can develop one more reconciliation for RCM from unregistered dealers also. Then we should match 2A with TDS, and in this we can match our GSTR 3B, GSTR 1 and GSTR 7, and similarly we could have a reconciliation for GSTR 1, GSTR 2A, GSTR 8, and in this we can have 3B also, that we have discharged our liability. We have shown 100 rupees liability in month 1, vis-a-vis we have received the payment in month 4. And then we should always cross check the limits. If in Gujarat, then we have to check limits with state officer Gujarat and what are their powers. And these are general discipline that opportunity of being heard should always be given to a taxpayer. Whenever department doesn't provide opportunity of being heard, even after request, then such order or order is not valid. You can get adjournment maximum 3 times, and actual order should not be more than the SCM. That's why they keep it open. And if order is not passed within the due date, so for 17-18, if it is under 73, and say the notice has to be served by November 2022, and they have not served in notice in November 2022, or they have not passed the order in February 2023, then that's it. They cannot do anything unless they open for 74. And for 74, they have to provide. Now, order pass has to be speaking order. We have got a recent judgment against this word also, speaking order, and they said that the taxpayer said that the order is something like this crypto order, and it's not a speaking order. And High Court said no, that's not a valid point. If the order is communicating everything, then it's a perfectly valid. We have covered, and DIN is mandatory as per, and in your case you have to check a state notification, but for central one DIN is mandatory. Even on emails, DIN should be there because that is a part of communication. And I hope I'm not going to offenses and penalties here, but these are part of my presentation offenses, and you can go through it once I share this PPT. And I would like to take questions if anyone has.
If anyone is having questions, please write it in the chat box, and please ask questions related to GST scrutiny.
नहीं सर, पढ़कर आया होगा तो याद होगा तो आंसर कर दूंगा, नहीं आया तो फिर मना कर दूंगा भाई आ जाता।
सर GST has so many, मतलब people have so many questions, notifications से ज्यादा questions होंगे मेरे हिसाब से। PPT will be shared.
But I'm
later.
just sharing. So
Yes.
don't worry, I'm sharing to you.
Yes, we'll share it with all the
बाद में
participants.
भूल जाता हूँ सर.
नहीं, we'll share it.
I'm talking about me कि मैं भूल जाता हूँ. I'm not talking about you. Yes, there is a difference between audit and scrutiny. The basic difference is that in audit, they will visit you. In a scrutiny, they will not visit you. You have to visit. And there could be a desk audit also, where department is not visiting you, but ideally they will visit you. Second thing, in say, what we say, audit and scrutiny, this is a very good question, because in earlier service tax laws, whenever there was a manual for service tax scrutiny, it was written that if assessee has been audited in past 3 years, then scrutiny cannot be done. But such thing is missing from current GST manual or GST. But it is an understood thing that if officer say that I am not able to understand these things, then he prescribes audit. So it is very different to accept it कि भैया इस audit के बाद scrutiny हो सकती है क्या? So as per my understanding, first there would be scrutiny, then there could be audit. If a client has been audited by the department, then there should not be any scrutiny. But this is what we are deriving from earlier regime, and this is not as per anything which has been mentioned in the law. Okay. So we can have another question.
So there is a question, what is solution when there is no SMS email of notice per refund?
If the notice has been not served, then you don't need to do anything.
Okay. It is a question related to ITC 4.
Let me check from the start. Is ITC available on capital goods like TV, camera, equipments? The question is by Naveenji. Naveenji, what is your utilization of this TV and camera? So I have bought a TV. Now what I am using of that TV is that I have installed CCTV camera in all over my office, and now I am using that for my for that I need a TV, or I needed a screen, but I am using it on a TV. It is perfectly business. So whenever we go for the credits, we have to check whether it is for the purpose of business or furtherance of the business. If it is for business purpose, then that is a substantive provision. And furtherance of the business is auxiliary, whatever auxiliary activity it could be. So, for example, let's go for washing machine. So, for example, if your client is a pharmaceutical company and he has uniform prescribed, and everyone who comes in the factory changes a uniform and works there, and after the day shift, they throw that uniform, and that is washed in that washing machine. Now you can take claim credit for that washing machine also. That is utilized for washing clothes for your employees. So nutshell में आपने कैमरे का क्या किया है? So you have to link that. So if your client is a YouTuber and he earns income from YouTube, then camera becomes relevant. So he would get credit for camera also. But I am a chartered accountant. What I am doing with the camera? what I am doing with the TV पर ऑफिस में मैं शेयर मार्केट थोड़ी देखूंगा. So that is so these are subjective effects. बदलते जाइए, आंसर्स बदलते जाएंगे for ITs. Sir, what is the solution for no SMS, no email notice, but refund or numbers are rejected? So I have told you, you have to contact and why the notices are not received. Can officer, so Urvi ji, can officer propose penalty 74.5 after payment of tax and interest in DRC 03 as per pre-show cause notice statement? So pre-show cause was for 74 or 73. And we go with 3 types of litigation. So it is show cause notice with litigation. Show cause notice with litigation. Once pre-show cause is, say, whatever you are saying, pre-show cause, it is not, it has to be done pre-show cause, and then we have, after the order, we go into appellate mechanism. Officer 74.5 penalties not leviable, but अगर आप शुरू में कर लेते हैं तो ITC 4 is not submitting in Surat for delivery of goods for job work. That you please check from your end. Nowadays, so Shashin ji, nowadays we got the notice from department for GST audit from 2017 to 20. That's a perfect notice. Valid notice, you have to reply to. Prakash ji, the registration of client is cancelled due to non-filing of return. After restoration, can the taxpayer claim ITC of the previous year if the time limit for claim has been passed? The answer is no. Only a high court could give you relief. As far as the department is considered, it cannot be done. So I have answered this question. Both audit and scrutiny can be done. What Naveen is saying, business purpose, I think we have taken. Sir, we have another question. Sir, what is the fate of credit of mobile taken by the business? Man, how can he prove it for the business purposes? Sir, मोबाइल छोड़ दो, प्रूव करने बैठोगे तो लैपटॉप को भी प्रूव नहीं कर पाओगे, उस पे भी आप नेटफ्लिक्स देख सकते हैं. एंड इफ यू आर नॉट एबल टू प्रूव इट तो एक परसेंटेज है ना, 5% रिवर्स कर दो. 5% तो रिवर्स कर ही सकते. डोंट प्रूव, दैट्स अ जनरल वन. बट हाउ टू प्रूव इट? ऐसा तो है नहीं ना कि मोबाइल से वो अपने घर पे बात नहीं करता हो, भाई से, मम्मी से, पापा से, ब्रदर से बात नहीं करेगा. ये ऐसा हो सकता है. एंड टुडे वी आर नॉट पेइंग फॉर कॉल्स आल्सो. द मोबाइल डेटा इज डिफरेंट, मोबाइल फोन इज डिफरेंट. तो मोबाइल डेटा में तो वी आर यूजिंग नॉर्मली वाईफाई कॉलिंग फैसिलिटी. वी आर पेइंग ओनली फॉर द डेटा. वी आर नॉट चार्ज फॉर द कॉल्स in postpaid. But mobile phone is capital goods, and in capital goods there could be a person also. I would recommend कि 5% आप capital goods का reverse कर दो. So we are manufacturer having repair of building. Can we get ITC on building repair? We have not capitalized. If you have not capitalized, you can get it. But that is very controversial point. Answering on just one line would be very difficult. There are certain case laws in favor of you, certain case laws in against you. So because you are not doing anything new, you're not generating anything new, credit should be allowed, that you are not doing. So Ashish ji is saying, what could be the parameter of a department taking cases to 73 or 74? I mean, when they can be said to be malified intention. Of course, see, malified intention, they have to prove. Whenever they are charging you with 74, they have to prove. आपको prove नहीं करना कि मेरा malified था, bona fide था. They have to prove that it is malified. There is a nexus. So whenever they are sending you notice under section 74, cross check. What are the reasons to believe? What they are saying that on these on the basis of these reasons, I am saying that you had a malified intention, you have taken wrong credit, or you have not paid whole of the liability. So that is all they have to prove. You need not to prove. You have to counter them. Whatever charges they are levying, you have to counter them. For example, there was a case of Reliance Group. What had happened that there was two companies of Reliance, and they had made some payment to one of the subsidiaries. And later on, they found it through balance sheet that this payment has been received by the subsidiary, and they said it was a loan, and later on the loan was repaid also. They said, no, this amount was for, because of this amount, they have concealed the fact, and that's why this should be added in the value. Bombay High Court said, no, whatever is mentioned in income tax return, that is filed with income tax department, that is filed with ROC. You cannot say that this has been concealed. And because it is a listed company, the things were available in public domain. How can you say the facts have been concealed? So it's not like that. They have to tell you. They have first responsibility is there. They have to communicate कि भाई मैं 73 में क्यों नहीं जा रहा, 74 में क्यों जा रहा हूँ. Every short payment, non-payment is not because of concealment of facts. So that whether ITC on lift and AC plant installed in trust building, building under construction can be availed. Please refer to the case of cone elevators and go deep into that and drew some principles from that. I will not be able to answer this question with so small information. So Vimalji is saying, I have imported services and I paid RCM on that invert services. Can I claim refund against export of services? Whatever you are paying in import, that is your IGST. You are getting IGST and then you are exporting it. Yes, you can claim refund. There is no issue.
Here, sir, we'll stop the questions.
I'm at your disposal, sir. And I have sent you PPT in your mobile. You can cross check also.
Sir, our president is so speedy. He has already shared it with all the AGFTC members. So over to Karthikeya bhai.
I have no words to express our feelings. We are highly obliged, and the energy and the knowledge you have put in to enlighten our members, all the professional fraternity, sir, you are doing an excellent job, because since from the inception the GST has come, there are many confusions and complexities. So if any expert is providing any guiding light, that would be a blessing only. So sir, I have no words, but deepest thanks from all the association who have joined hands to arrange the webinar of yours. Thank you so much, sir, for your time and for all the concern about tax professionals fraternity. Here I want to thank CA Sridhar sir personally, and because of this gentleman, today you have come, being a national speaker, today you have come on the platform of AGFTC and ITBA. So thank you, CS.
Sir, I'm not a speaker. I'm a student in GST. आपने मैंने speaker लिख दिया, मैं तो speaker भी नहीं लिखता.
नहीं, वो तो सर सही है कि always student ही रहना चाहिए. But still, you know much better than us. So thank you so much, sir, for everything. And I request CS Sridhar sir to please give certificate of appreciation to our honorable faculty.
Sir, please accept it.
Thank you. Now I request President of Southern Income Tax Bar Association, Advocate Anil Shah, to please give hearty vote of thanks.
My friends, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Friends, this year is the unique and memorable year in the history of AGFTC and ITBA and SGI-TBA. We have broken all the records of earlier years for arranging the webinars, seminars, and other programs. This year, we have arranged more than 80 programs and broke the earlier record of 60 to 65 programs earlier year. The entire credit goes to our young and energetic captains, Sri Mrudang Vakil, Sri Kartikeya Shah, Dhruven Mehta, and the entire team. First of all, I, from the bottom of my heart, thank our learned speaker Abhishek Rajaram for sparing his valuable time and delivering the excellent discourse on the subject of GST scrutiny. Sir, we are very much thankful to you for the excellent lecture. I am really thankful to all the associations who have joined in this webinar. They are the Southern Gujarat Income Tax Bar Association, the Chartered Accountant Association, Surat, Society for Tax Analysis and Research, Valsad District GST Practitioners Association, Bhavnagar Income Tax Bar Association. Lastly, I am thankful to all the participants who have attended this seminar and make it a great success. Thank you, everybody. Vande Mataram, Jai Hind.
Sir, the last thing from tax professional from all over India has come to listen to you. So that is the last note.
And I would like to add one thing that Sir is the author of first book on GST scrutiny and manuals. So if anyone is willing to, they can refer to it. Thank you. With this, we are ending the webinar. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.